Hi, everyone. It's Lydia with the Oneness Junkie podcast and YouTube channel. And today we're going live. I've never done a live with another person. I've always done lives by myself. So going live stream is not new for me, but doing one with a guest is new. So welcome, Kata. How you doing?
Hello, nice to see you and nice to talk to you. I'm really well actually. It's a lovely sunny day here in Hungary,
Yes,
and
and you're
I'm
in
just happy
Budapest,
to have
right?
yes, and I'm just happy to have this talk with you now.
I
And especially that
know.
you're saying that it's the first time that you do it live with another person. That's great. I love to be, experiment with things and be the first to do whatever and then discover whether it's working or not, and usually it does.
Well, then this is
Because
perfect because you're the
yeah.
first.
Yeah,
All
so thank
right.
you for having me.
You're welcome. And I look forward to introducing you to the world. And that's what the purpose of this is. So, even though this is currently a live stream, it's going to be recorded and it's going to be a living on my YouTube channel, the Oneness Junkie podcast. And I'll also take the audio and we'll put it up on my Apple podcast and my Spotify and all the places where this podcast is found. So, let's get started. I want to let everyone know that we're friends and we are friends in different worlds. I live in Colorado, and Kata, like we said, is in Budapest. And so thank God for the internet and thank God for WhatsApp because that keeps us connected. So I want to introduce you all to Kata real quick. I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I wanted to tell y'all that um, she and I had a phone call last week to catch up, and it was so inspiring talking about the work that she does in the world that I invited her on the Oneness Junkie podcast because the criteria for me to have a guest on this podcast is all you have to do is be using your time and talents to make the world a better place. And Kata is definitely doing that. So, Kata, will you introduce like a little bit about your background? People want to know, kind of where you came from and where you got to, and then what you do for your living.
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Budapest in Hungary, but back in the 80s when I started high school, my father with his new family, my parents divorced, and this is only important because um, my father and his new wife and my half brother, they went to Japan. My father worked in Tokyo as a correspondent for the news agency. Back then, there was no internet. So correspondents were um, give, giving all the news and information to news agencies. And so I ended up in an international high school where there were 58 nationalities speaking in English. So that's where I learned English. And I met so many different um, people and cultures and color of hair and eyes and skin and just completely different backgrounds. And it was lovely to see this mix and experience this international environment, completely different from what I was used to in Hungary, of course. And but all this in Japan. So the Japanese way of living, the way of seeing nature really impacted me. I didn't think it back then, of course, as a teenager, but later on I discovered that it went really deep how they see everything as alive, that the Shinto way of seeing the world is about energies and that everything has a soul. And it really just fertilized my initial background because my grandfather was a gardener, and so he really had deep connection with nature, and I loved playing in he had glass houses and just playing with actually the elements of nature. And I ended up actually studying art history. And after that, I realized I don't want to be, the academic world is not for me. And I prefer to do art or applied art myself, like what I'm wearing, this neck piece. So that's my other side, besides Living SoulScape, that I create actually with the same um, spirituality, what Soulscape is about. I make neck pieces. And so just to round it off, really, what Soulscape is about our environment. Actually, since I work and write my books and teach in Hungarian, Soulscape, of course, has a Hungarian term which I came up with. And so actually I've introduced something and now people know about it. And it has the word soul and space in it. And meaning that everything what's inside, I think our souls have different realms, different spaces, like our personality has different areas and sides and spaces, but also our environment where we are. Um, your room is a space, but it has also a soul, or it has a quality to it. So everything is interconnected. And so basically, after I studied many buildings as an art historian, many paintings, we learned how to analyze them, how to approach, um, yes, art, and how to kind of discover the meaning behind form and color and shape, but more on the academic level. I realized that I can combine my sensitivity of working with the elements of nature. I also studied way back. I studied some feng shui 20 years ago when nobody knew about it in Hungary, and and uh, and I used kind of some of the elements, especially regarding the nature, the energies of nature. And but I'm also interested in geomancy. I don't know if you are familiar with geomancy. That's also part of my work. It's about geo stands for Gaia, and mancy, mantiar, it comes from Latin. It's finding the meaning, or yeah, so basically it's finding the messages and meaning of natural forms, like a mountain has an energy or a river has a quality and an energy, and all these you can actually decipher even the future, like the ancient native people did. From the flight of the birds, actually, they would know whether, what the weather will be like, and then how the crops would grow. So, so all this knowledge and interest I combine, and that makes or gives the core of what I call in English living soulscape.
What's the Can you tell us the Hungarian word and say it slowly so we can kind of hear the enunciation of it?
Yes. Tér, lélek, tan.
Okay, so
Tér, lélek,
the
tan.
tear is
Tér
like
is
it's like
space.
terra, yeah.
Yeah, tér is space. Lélek is soul. And tan at the end is like the study of, so it's like the study
Like
of, this
ology.
is the study, yeah, like ology. So the study of space and soul. But actually, um, I now like the English term better, because actually I came up with Térlélektan almost 20 years ago. And since then, um, it has evolved into a more intuitive, even more energy based, and much more living. So it's not an ology, it's not the study of something, it's more the experiencing.
Yeah.
And because actually just rearranging your room, or even just putting one furniture to another place within the room, you would feel that the whole energy changes. And you don't need to study it. You don't necessarily have to know what happened. You just feel it and know it and experience it. And it will change your inner scape, your soul scape. So I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so I think it works also in English slightly differently, but I love the living part in it.
Yeah.
in this
It's like an action word. And so
way.
instead of like studying it, so it's like over there, I'm going to study it from the past or, whatever, you bring it into your experience and then you do it, right? You take
Mm.
action.
Yes, and also part of this is that um, you live what you do, and that by this you create living homes, because soulscape also, it's not only about us, our inner scape and our inner spaces of our souls, but also um, in a way it's you could call it a little bit like spiritual interior design, but because I basically work with people through their homes, and but that's my way of healing or teaching people about the energies and how to create. So I don't make spaces for them. We create it together because it's their living energy and it will be their living home. Um, because I believe that that's our responsibility now, to create homes that really reflect us, our true nature. And if all these energies add up, then so I can see, how shall I put it? I can see, I see a home as a living being and as a lighthouse, a lighted house and a lighthouse. And if we all have wonderful lighthouses, the lights will all add up. And what you said in the introduction, that for you it's important to share our light and to be useful and soulful and spirited and happy and high frequency beings, to really raise the consciousness of our community and of the planet. I think everything adds together, and so one part of Living Soulscape is to do this or contribute to this light through our home and understanding um, some tricks and also how these energies work.
Okay, we'll get into that. So I want to just add that on my podcast from the beginning, I've always said when we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So the concept is focus on your inner and your own frequency and your own self. And when we all do that, instead of pointing a finger at what someone's not doing or what someone needs to do, focus on you, and then we all become that light that lights up the world to a higher frequency, like you're just talking about. So that
Yes.
you and I are both in alignment with that thought process and that
Mm.
belief system. So with that said, I want to bring up, so now we've gotten to know you and what you're doing. And in our conversation last weekend, we were talking about all of this, and I was telling you some of the things I was working on in my life. So that was telling you like what I wanted to achieve, what I was working through. And so you were letting me know things like even lifting up a piece of furniture that might be like, I have this big ottoman in my living room and it's probably bigger than it needs to be. It takes up quite a bit of the amount of space that's in there. And I was thinking, do I really love that ottoman? I mean, it's pretty cool, but I got it from a friend and it was her used ottoman. I paid for it and it's nice, but it has no frequency for me. I have no connection to that ottoman. And then I have a part of my couch that has a ottoman, a piece that you can move around and put it up next to the couch so you can lay further your legs, cover it. But that could be my coffee table ottoman instead. And that actually has a smaller and it's more utilization around it. And so you and I were talking about, I said something about how I was drinking smoothies and working on releasing some energy within my body and possibly losing weight. And you were saying, well, even moving furniture and making more space for the flow of energy could help support your goals of what you're working on. So let's talk about that. And I'm happy to use my conversation with you as an example of how you inspired me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing this. Yes, exactly. This is what it's all about. As I said, that what's inside is outside, and what's outside is inside. And actually, I think that, like a fractal, you can expand it and, make it, just zoom in to this truth that what's above, so is below, and, outside and inside. And to some extent, I believe that our home is still under our skin. So we really have to be careful what we have in it, and that each room, of course, it has its own proportions. Um, the length of the walls, the height of the ceiling, and without knowing, uh, really nice to create a good and balanced room, and where the atmosphere can be really peaceful, but also allowing activity. And when I talk about these things, I like to speak on many levels. So when I say peaceful, it could be a peaceful, calm mind, but also a more stable emotional field, and a more balanced, mental, and also the physical. So like on every level, we connect with our environment. And also environment has many, all these layers. So when you mentioned that maybe the ottoman is too big in the room, it means that you don't have enough space to move around. And actually, it's only our leeway where we can move, and where we have the furniture, actually those things take away, the space. So we end up with what's between. And it's not a good feeling to kind of, I have to squeeze in between, even if you don't touch the furniture, because of course you have more room.
Yeah, if you're worried
But
about stubbing your toe.
we are bigger. We are bigger beings than just the physical. So actually, we need a little more space where we can go in many directions with this conversation. But actually, going back to your ottoman, if it's too big, uh, then it feels that the energy doesn't flow as well as it could. And it maybe has corners or parts of the room doesn't get enough energy. And that also goes in within your body, and not only in your physical body, but in your emotional or mental body, or in your spiritual body. Meaning that you are limiting yourself somehow. Maybe you have limiting thoughts, or you have thought patterns that are, always follow the same line. Because how we move in how we use our spaces, in a way, if we every day you go on the same way, you go from the kitchen to the bathroom, or you have your roots in how how you move in your living room. If you use always the same track, and then actually it becomes a track. And then after a while, you are not even, it's not you who chooses to go that way, but you kind of are on track. And of course, this expression has a good connotation, but now I'm thinking about being, restricted to, I can only do it this way. And this especially is valid for those rooms that are too small, and you are maybe only able to walk in one along a line, like from the door you just go to your desk, or from the door you just go to the bed, and there's no other way that you can move around the room. These tend to be tricky, because then it can mean that you cannot be flexible enough, and after a while you will not see the variety of possibilities or of choices. And so this can really limit a person's life. And of course, it's also, we can talk about the meaning of different rooms, because the living room corresponds to a different energy or different part of our personality or being than the kitchen. Like the living room is the sun area, the kitchen is the moon. Whether it's a family, or a single woman or a single man, the living room, for example, represents how they how they move around in the world in a physical sense, but also in in a more also spiritual sense, and also how they what space they create for themselves in the world, and what position they take in the world, whether they are, they have their self-knowledge in proportion, and they are just in alignment with their truth and their nature, or someone can be, more shy and not so much out in the world, which might result from, you know, things that can be changed if you just work a little bit around, for example, in the living room, in case this person, let's say, wants to change something in their lives. Um, it's not easy to talk about these things in general, because it's because it's a
It's specific,
living
yeah.
soulscape. It's really specific, but then from a one specific moment or person or house or room
Situation to another, right?
situation, yeah, you can just open up and go into like a wonderful blooming tree. So what happened with the Ottoman? Did
Well,
you?
I have I
Because
I have made a decision that I'm ready to release it. I haven't released it yet because I bought some like it's leather, and I bought this like soap that'll make it shine up and look pretty. And I thought, okay, I need to do that and then put it on marketplace and sell it once it looks
yeah,
good,
yeah.
But
Can
wait,
I
I wanted
can I
I
just
wanted
say,
to yeah,
yeah, can I just say one more thing? I forgot, because now we just talked about space, but you mentioned that you bought it from a friend, but you don't really have connection to it.
right.
That's
The
also a very important
energy.
part,
Yeah. Yeah.
that we have. I mean, ideally, we live like in an environment that's in a home where we have good relationship with everything around us, that we love them, love the objects, and because they love us back. And and if you don't have too many things, because generally people tend to clutter and tend to have way too many
Yeah,
things
acquire.
that they don't use, and you can have a much more spacious, and energetically free and positive space if you have less furniture, less ornaments, um, but that if you have a good relationship with all of them, that they bring good memories, or you like them because of, yeah, certain, yeah. So you just, yeah, it's not worth it's yeah, you can make this a self-healing process if you just look around the room, and starting with the big ones, and you just have your little conversation with each pieces of furniture, like,
Yes. Okay. So I want to take us back to something you were saying just now. I want to mention my thoughts when I didn't want to interrupt you. So I just wanted you to flow in your stream. But now I want to comment. So when you were talking about the pathways of where you go and how you go around your furniture, it made me think about the first thing that came to my mind. See, you're right. Every conversation's different based on an individual's concepts, right, of what's in their head. And so when you're talking about that, I'm thinking about how I have to manipulate. This is spiritual too. This, what I'm about to say, is a spiritual concept to furniture. Is I have to manipulate myself, the way I walk around this furniture, so that I don't, one, step my toe, or that I don't trip, like
mm,
around cords. Like I have a laptop sitting on a little table and it has some cords right there by my couch, when I want to sit and do my laptop from my couch. So I'm just thinking about how I have to manipulate my life based on the setup that I put myself in. And so that's an interesting concept, because when we get into relations, like say you get married or you're in a relationship with a partner, and you find yourself manipulating yourself because they teach you like that when you say that, it triggers them. And so then you start manipulating yourself to decide, I don't want to trigger them because I don't want to deal with what their trigger's going to be, so you start manipulating yourself about how you talk or what you say or whatever. And I was just thinking the furniture's doing that to me, and
Yes.
I'm in control of my furniture, not the
Yes.
furniture's in control of me. And so it's like an awakening, like, wow, I can just get rid of it and not be manipulated.
Yeah. Yes, and also because maybe that Ottoman, because in some level it knows that your relationship is not ideal, and because of this, yeah, manipulative movements, and because of this slight strain that you have, and you repeat every day, it's something
Passing
invisible.
by, right?
It's something invisible, but it's there in the energy,
Well,
and
and I
so
think
if
about Don't Stump My Toe because it has wooden feet and they're real big and thick. And I'm like, I walk around barefoot. And so I don't want to like knock my
yeah,
toe into that wooden piece. So I'm real careful when I walk
yeah,
past it. So I don't just,
and
accidentally kick it.
especially in your home, you should be able to move freely. I mean, that's
Without
one of the
shoes.
only places when you don't need to manipulate, anything and yeah,
I know, but I'm
and
just
so
giving that example for people to think like, where are
yeah.
you being manipulated in your home?
Mm. Yeah, that's what I meant, like, and have this little conversation, honestly, an honest conversation, because that's also um, one approach of Living SoulScape, that you can go through each room and have this conversation and really select or discover these little manipulations. Let's use your word for it now. And because it reflects, so our home is the most honest mirror that we can have. It always shows you the present moment, because it doesn't see or doesn't. I mean, if you have a piece of furniture, an old armchair that you don't like the color of, and you plan to refurbish it, but you plan and you just keep postponing it. You are,
You have to
years go
look at
by,
it.
and you're just looking at it, and it's not. So that's also another energy, like misunderstanding in the energy and in the energetics, and all these little things are in the room or in the house, and these make it more, yeah. So it's hard to have a calm energy if you constantly have these little nuances that are just, creating waves in the pond where you don't want it.
Yeah. So I've been really good. When my parents passed away, I was the one in the city with them that had to clear out their houses because my sisters lived out of town and it was just easier for
Mm.
me to do it. And so I kept a lot of things because, I was like, I would say, like, oh, either that's valuable and I would keep it, or I would say, I want that for myself, in my experience. And so some of the furniture I have, I really am excited about having it, but I also recognize that I've had it for, say like 2 or 3 years, since they passed. And I need to decide, do I want to carry this everywhere I go? Or have I enjoyed it for 3 years or 5 years or whenever I'm moving again and decide I'm ready for my new life, my new choices and my new experience. So, I mean, I'll keep, like you said, I'll keep a couple of pieces. Remember, we were
Mhm.
talking about that, and you were like, if it's really like that one thing is a
Yeah.
piece that represents that, you don't need like 30 things to
Yes.
represent it. Or, like you were saying, if you live in the old home and you didn't change anything and everything's still where it's always been, your every mother's tchotchke is sitting
Yeah.
on the shelf, that could be, tell the audience what that means when you don't.
Well, yeah. Well, that basically you live in the past and you don't live your own life. You will just live, um, maybe a life that your mother hoped that you would have, but has nothing really to do with you, or maybe not even that, because your mother would have liked you to do something else, And so basically it's just sticking into a past that is not necessarily even yours. And if you think about it, it doesn't sound good. So
You
I
also
think,
mentioned that you're not letting go of the
yeah,
reality that they're gone. You're trying to keep them here.
yes, yes. And our parents um, are always in our hearts or will be in our hearts. And yes, I have many clients who have difficulties letting go because they feel that their mother or grandmother or grandfather would get offended and who are long gone. And of course, they won't. I mean, they want you to live your best life and where energy is flowing and you enjoy your life and not cling on to those chests of drawers that have nothing to do with you. Um, what and maybe you don't even like them, but you keep them because of the memories. So there are many layers to it. And
Well,
but
what
I think just keeping a few pieces, as I told you
yeah.
last week, is good because old pieces of furniture anchor you. When I'm talking about old, I don't mean like 20 years old, but maybe more, usually wooden pieces
Yeah, like
from,
your
I don't know.
childhood furniture or
Yeah,
something.
childhood, or even from before, like grandparents' time.
Yeah,
A few nice,
ancestors.
yeah, a few nice pieces, um, kind of, you can see them as anchors, like so that you anchor and you have a hold to be here. But then you need to, sometimes you need to fly. So it's a balance between past, present, and future. And I also see that many people who are afraid of the past and they just have you want all these modern furniture, which then really keep them in the future, but somehow like many of the pieces that I produce today, because they usually are not made of wood. I don't know about the States, but in Europe, many, yeah, there's this fashion of using artificial material and so nothing is pure cotton, nothing is pure wood, nothing is, wool
Earth.
anymore. Everything is,
Nothing's from the
yeah.
earth. Yeah.
And so if you have too little furniture and even the ones that you have are too modern, especially if they are light colors like white or cream, um, they keep you kind of elevated, but I mean, in a negative sense, like not grounded. So it's hard to start a business or start a family or have good plans and see the direction for the future if you are just levitating in and you are not really. This is how I sense energies. And so when I walk into a room, or even if I just see like I consult with some people, just show me photos, like I do sometimes online consultation. So I just see photos of the rooms, but you can still see where the imbalances are. Um,
What do you think
So
about people who like fill their house up with like free furniture on the curb, and then just pull it into their house? Like it's all based on utilization and not frequency or energy. What do you think about that? I don't do that, but I'm just curious.
um, I know some people. It depends what the motives are. Yes, like if somebody has very little money and they need, but they would like, to furnish their place,
Yeah.
and they just find free, cheap things, then they can create wonderful places. But if you mean about people who just have this thing together and collect and just,
Gathering,
you know,
yeah. Like
then
acquiring, like they can't get enough, right? They're always bringing stuff
well,
from
this is
the
this
outside.
is yeah, this is the entry to get cancer, um, or where you just, yeah, like if you have too many things in your space, especially if some of them have bad vibes, because furniture, like, I mean, you also mentioned that uh, objects can have very good and positive energy, and some are less. And it depends on your, not only your relationship with that object, but it's the past of the object or where it has been. And because it all takes, I mean, if you gather stuff from um, people or places that there were, bad energies or some fights, or like these energies stay with the objects, and then you just get all these qualities inside your house. No wonder that you will not be happy, and you think, oh, I'm not happy, I need some more. So it's like a vicious circle, and then the more you have, the less happy you will become. And then it's really the reason why I mentioned cancer, because I had clients like this, and a couple, an elderly couple, that they just couldn't let go. And actually, they filled one of their rooms with only clutter and stuff that they should have given away, or their children's long not used, toys, and their grandchildren's broken, I don't know, like cards. And yeah, just really. And basically, when I entered, I couldn't enter the room. It was so full of everything. and and they were living in the other room of the apartment, and they didn't understand the connection between their bodies, where cells don't, just
They don't
don't know what,
release and let go and get out of
and,
the body.
and they just grow and grow and grow. Yes.
Stagnation. There's no
Mm,
flow, right?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you were asking me what else I did. I wanted to tell you what else I did after. So, yeah, I thought about the autumn and I haven't done anything with it yet, but I was telling my sister about it. And she agreed, like, yeah, just release it, let it, give it to, let someone else enjoy it. I mean, it was like originally like $1,000 piece of furniture. And I think I paid $100 for it, but I've enjoyed it. So moving on. Okay. The next thing I did was, remember when you were telling me about what you see, like your visual. And so I was thinking, when I'm like on my couch, which is like the primary place to sit in my living room, is a couch or like a recliner kind of chair. I'm looking at the TV and I have this metal art that says love above it, which is fine. It's real clean. There's not a lot of clutter over there. But right on the side of the TV was like a bookshelf or some kind of a shelf where you could put items like fancy, crystals or whatever I had on there, frame of my mom or whatever. And I thought, that's just like a lot of stuff in my visual line of sight. And I thought, what if I move that shelf over to the left side of this couch over here, so I'm not like looking at it, it's just there in my present. It's, if I want to go look at it, it's over by the sliding glass door. I can go look at it or grab the item off of it, and it helps bring those pretty little pieces into my space. But I'm not like looking at it when I'm facing the main wall where I'm sitting. And I thought
Yeah.
it would just clean out the clutter in my mind, because it's like
Yes.
adding,
Absolutely.
more thoughts because of what's
Mm,
on those shelves, and so I
yeah.
moved it. And so now it's not in my regular line of sight.
Mm.
And I do feel more
The
spacious and free with that. Just love,
Yeah.
is the only thing I'm really focused on when I look at that wall now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is living soulscape. That it's just a tiny little movement, and you didn't even remove it completely. You just replaced it, and maybe you will put other things on the shelf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
asked it, like, do I really want that on that shelf? Is that important to be
yes,
on the shelf with all the other things? And I was really intentional when I was putting the shelf back together, like, I want this and I want that crystal. And
yes.
this is actually, some of the items are like from my new friends, my new
Mm,
stuff that they're gifting me. And so it's like part of this last year of my life, some of those things are current instead of
Yeah.
past. Yeah.
Yes. Also, gifts. You mentioned gifts. Gifts are not easy because often, gifts are about the person who gives them, although they give it to you, and often people keep things that they are given as gifts because maybe a a special person gave them to me, gave it to them, or but they don't even like it, but they just keep it on shelves, and that's another dangerous area that we can go into. Or but that's also about, you see, everything is about self knowledge and just knowing your boundaries and your what you what who you are and what you are and what you would like to be and what's your direction. And so that these little, people's, everything is energy, so people's gifts, um your ottoman, everything. And so in this world where energies, everybody talks about energies, I'm not sure everybody means the same thing actually by energies. And of but if we really want to experiment with energies, like what you did, we could describe your removing and putting the shelf to your left side, that you were actually rearranging consciously the energies of the room, and not only the room, but also your soul's scape. You and I find it interesting that throughout the years, I have feedback from my students and my clients that by following this approach, or reading my books and experimenting and doing their own rearrangements, their lives have changed, and they didn't have to go through, I don't know, therapy for 2 or 3 or even longer, years or even longer. And I also truly believe, because of energies, that we don't need to always understand what's happening. If it's enough to live it and to experience it. So you don't necessarily have to figure out why you have difficulties releasing. Just releasing objects. Just remove a few and see the difference. And then maybe remove even more. And in a few months or years' time, you will be a different person without going through like your childhood traumas. I know I'm generalizing, so I hope you understand what I mean. Uh, but it truly saves a lot of, I think, work, especially psychology. It's more mental. It doesn't have to, it's more materialistic psychology. And Living Soulscape works more on the energetic level and the spiritual level.
Yeah.
But also clearing your mind and your emotions. So like your whole body, not only what you can share with, in a therapy, for example, mentally through conversation.
Yeah. So, and the reason I'm giving these examples is like, hopefully whoever's listening is like going to get like a aha moment, like, oh, I could do that, and then it could help their lives. So I want to tell you, cause it was inspirational talking to you. You didn't even know I was going to go take action all weekend after we talked.
No.
I had actually other things to do, but I ended up being more productive in this area after we had talked. And so I wanted to tell you two more things I did that I didn't even realize. One of them I could have realized would have been, a big deal. But I'm going to tell you something funny about my plants, which are also those are living, and there's studies that show that the plants know when you come home and they get excited, and so tending to your live plants in your home, is an important part. So anyway, first I want to tell you, like in my bedroom, I had so I moved from Houston from a 3-bedroom house where I could spread out and everything had a spot, to be put away like in closets or whatever, to like a 1,000 square foot apartment in Colorado, which is like 2 bedrooms and 2 closets. And so I've been very organized and efficient with how I store my stuff so that I know exactly what box to go to when I need my gloves or I need my scarves, like it has labels and stuff in my closet. And so it was time to transition away from winter clothes that were all in my space and to bring out the summer clothes that have the sleeves and everything. And so I had to do that swap over where you got to put the new stuff, the winter stuff in the boxes and take them out of the closets and put them in your drawers. So I had winter stuff all stacked on dressers in my bedroom, ready to put in the plastic bins and get them out because the weather hadn't really changed yet. I still was wearing a couple of those things. And so I finally got organized and got all those boxes and clothes and everything into their closets where they needed to go. So that felt good because now the room doesn't have stacks of clothes, stacked up on top of furniture, so that I know that can't be good, but I just feel like I have more things than I have space for, unless I'm super organized. Okay. But that's an obvious, like people can hear that story and go, oh yeah, that's obvious. You need to clear that out. But this was less obvious. So I have like right there is a big window and there's what's called like a bay, like a sitting area where you can put pillows and you could actually sit in the window. And so instead of pillows, I have plants sitting on that shelf in the window. And, I have them in from the winter so they wouldn't, be on the patio, but I like them in the window and they're thriving. It's like 68 degrees in my house and the sun comes in the window and they're growing, in the window. So I'm going to probably leave them there and not put them on the patio. But what's funny is I just had like one pot was empty, one pot was dead, one pot had some cleaning it needed to get done. And, it was like just a bunch of plants had been kind of shoved over in that window. And I thought, that's not decorative. That's like, one plant had grown so much. It's like an ivy and it had grown so much that it actually needed like a stick where it could go up the stick. And so I just worked on my plant window and cleaned it all up and removed the pot that had nothing growing in it. It just had dirt and removed the dead plant and cleaned that out. And so it just feels so much better to have all the plants be live and real,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you think about like that? Like people who let dead plants just stay dead in their window. What's that about?
Well, it's hard to not to hurt anyone who's like that.
Well, okay, actually it's
of course,
stagnation, right? It's stagnation.
Plants are living beings and they yes, and I know people who say that, oh, my plants always die. Yes, because plants are family members. You have to give them, it's not enough to give them water once a week or once in 2 weeks. You can talk to them. You can, look at them every day, kind of checking if they need water or not. And it doesn't take ages. But tending to them is a magical action, actually. In Hungarian, we have a beautiful term when you pay attention to something. It's interesting how in English we say pay attention. So somehow money comes in. I don't know. Probably it shows the value of something, the action of paying attention. In Hungarian, we sanctify attention. It doesn't sound good, but it's kind of you make it sacred.
Like honor,
So
you honor the
yes, but it's even more honor, but in a more spiritual way. And actually, this is a magical act. So paying attention is like one part of creation that you put your attention to something that all your energy goes, all your love, your entire being, your consciousness, everything
your
is
frequency.
your frequency. It focuses on that thing. And so this is why it's good to I said this conversation with all your objects and all your furniture, so that you dedicate a little time, and then you see, and you kind of raise the frequency of the apartment, and you can adjust it to your frequency in the moment. And that plants show that something, that the person is not fully present in their lives because they don't see that things are decaying and dying around them, or they are not sensitive enough to notice that the plant wanted water 2 weeks ago and it couldn't bark as a dog or it couldn't meow as a cat. It's just there. So in this respect, I think plants are our biggest teachers to be, and masters even, to show us how to be present and how to take care of another living being. And and also plants in the home can invite uh, natural, the beings, the elemental beings of nature. So when you have nice and lively and living and happy plants, then your home is also in more connection with nature. Elemental beings are the beings like the fairies, um, who they are not in the fairy tales only. They are actually beings of nature that make life more sacred and more special. And plants also, you can see plants as a small or big, whatever, representations of the elements of earth, of air. Fire element gives them the flowers and the color of flowers. So you see everything of this created world is represented in a plant. And we talk about taking care of the planet, but then, some people just go and want to do all these big things, but plants die in their homes. So that's something, it doesn't match. So I think it's important to tend to our garden, our psychic garden, our soulscape, and our home. Um, so I'm glad that you did that, and I'm sure you feel the energy different. And the plants thank you in so many ways, really. Um,
Yeah. And what you just said reminds me of what I said at the beginning of the podcast. When we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So you don't always have to go outside to heal
yes, exactly.
something. Like, really, the biggest work we can do is right here
Yes,
inside. We don't have
yes,
to go anywhere, right? It
yes,
follows
yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And through the etheric energies and the bioenergy, plants also reflect your state of health, your state of being. Uh, so if someone's, I said that before, that when the plants die around you, that you don't pay enough attention, but it also is another way of putting it, that you don't pay enough attention to your own life, to your maybe body and emotions and mental health. And maybe you don't feel it now, but in a few years' time, uh, you might actually have some symptoms. And and it's, of course, it's better not to become ill. So yeah, plants are wonderful beings, and they sense uh, our energy field, and of course they hear, not only hear when you are coming home, as as or sense that you're approaching, but they also sense, I have a feeling that I'm looking this way because I have my orchids and other plants there. So
And I'm looking at my big aloe vera that's
yeah, I
thriving.
know. So we are looking at our plants, and I can sense that they know that I'm talking about them. Of course, they don't have a mental body, so they don't understand the words, but the intention and the frequency and the energy coming from my heart, and your plants sense the energy coming from your heart and your intention when you water and when you know, tidy them up, or that bay window you arrange. That good energy and that feeling is the food for the plants. apart from water and some minerals.
Yeah, that's so lovely. I love that. Awesome. Well, I feel like we should save some dialogue for other conversations. So, is there anything that you want to talk about on this podcast or live stream that I didn't ask you that we just didn't go through that you want to tell the world?
I think for an introduction, we talked about different topics, and whoever is watching live or will watch the recording can sense the energy of our conversation. And so I don't necessarily want to give more information. And I prefer to have, yes, we can have another chat anytime that you would like. We can prepare with some questions, or even maybe we can ask the audience for some questions, or I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't. I mean, you're my
this
first
is the
one.
first, yeah.
we can
So
we can create it, because there is a little chat screen right here that I could see the comments as they come in if there were comments, but um we'll keep working with it and testing it and seeing what works. We might just go straight to like YouTube live and use their platform. I'm using a different platform here
mhm.
that's feeding out to the different channels, but so here if people want to learn more about what you do and how to get in touch with you, what's your website that they can go to?
Well, actually, it's my name. So in Hungarian, the last name comes
First.
yeah. So yeah, first. So it's like, so in Hungarian, I'm from Kata. So
Wow.
the family name comes first, and then
Wow.
yeah.
Do they wait, do
And
people call you that, or is that just when you write it? You write it's only written. Do people call you Trom,
no,
Kata?
no, 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 no. It's just no. But when I would introduce myself in English, I would say Kata Trom.
Uh-huh.
So your first name, and in Hungarian, the first name actually is the second. So you use when you introduce yourself or in your documents or wherever. So it's the family name that comes first,
Wow.
and then so it's tromkata .com.
Yeah.
Um,
And I will add for my English.
and there's and you could find, yeah, there's my contact phone, WhatsApp number, email.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
you
all
have it
all
on
my
there.
name.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will tell people that are English speaking when you go there, it might be on Hungarian, but there's a little British flag that means English, and you hit the English button and it'll turn the whole website into
yeah,
English, right? Is it only the
yeah,
two languages or do you have other?
yes.
Okay.
No, these two. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what else did I want to tell them about that? Because I had two thoughts to share. I wanted to spell it for people. So it's, like WWWTROM as in Mary, K as in cat. K as in Kelly, AT as in taco, A.com, tromkata.com.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
yes.
yeah. So how fun. You're using your uh, time and talents to make the world a better place. It just made me laugh because I'm like thinking, I love my friends. I love the people that I am attracting into my life, and I want to share them with the world because I think they're super cool, like Kata Trom.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Yes, because you are super cool yourself. So it's nice to,
Takes one
yeah,
to know one. That's what we
yeah,
say in America. Do they say that in Hungary?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We say something like that. Yeah.
Something similar.
Is it-
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, well, are there any final words before we say goodbye to our podcast audience listening in? I hope they lasted this long. This went like 30 minutes longer than we had planned to talk, but the truth is that it was just a fun conversation for us to have together. So we just
Yeah.
kept going.
Yeah. Well, just to find out, it's like, I think to be really live a fulfilling life and be happy with what you do, uh, it helps if you love your home. So it's like the basis. So you can look around your home and just really find things that you really love about it. And if you find anything that you don't like that much, it's worth changing. Mm.
And I'm going to
Because
add,
it will ripple out. The effects of the smallest change will make a difference.
yeah, I'm going to add to that because I spend like 8 hours a day at my job and I'm in my job building. And I think it's important also to bring some of your personality and some of your things that make you happy wherever you're spending, your time. And if it's your car and your car is messy, then that's important too. Like keep your car clean and decluttered and like wherever you're spending your time that is an extension outside of your home, those are also important places, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
So
Yes.
your home, your work,
Yes.
your gym bag, if that's messy,
Yeah.
whatever, your purse, as you're taking your purse with you, all these things are just things to think about. Like, do you live with a messy person? You can never find anything, organize it, get it all together, get organized. Right.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of
Absolutely.
things to look at of our lives and see where we can improve our physical
Mm.
life as well as our energetic and
Yeah.
psychological life. Yeah.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kata, for being here with me today on this Saturday. And look
Yes.
forward
Thank
to
you.
yeah, and I hope we can have some more conversations and invite people to join us. By the way, I can have up to like 10 squares on this platform. We
Hmm.
can have like 10 people and have like a talk party.
Yeah. Okay. I'm open. Yes.
It would be fun
I
just to get some good
yes.
conversation going.
Yes. Yeah. But even if it's just the two of us for next time, I'm very happy for that as
Yes,
well.
that's easy. That's easy and fun. So thank you all. Don't forget to visit tromkata.com. And also you can find all of the podcast at onenessjunkie.com. And we are on YouTube and Facebook and all the platforms out there. So join us and maybe you'll be a part of our next live stream. So thank you all for listening. Bye. Bye, Kata.
Thank you. Bye.